today's webinar. I would like to give you a short introduction on Alphen Lab. Like we said, UNDP Alternative Finance Lab is part of the UNDP Istanbul Regional Hub. We are acting as some kind of the driving force through exploration, designing, applying different kind of innovative financial solutions and mechanisms to address the global challenges. Mainly, we are working with country offices on the global level, but we have also specific initiatives with different private partnerships and stakeholders involved in the development initiatives. Our slogan, if I remember correctly, is empowering lives through alternative finance. So we are focusing on different kind of the mechanisms in our work. One of the flagship programs that we have is crowdfunding academy, where we're helping country offices and other stakeholders to fundraise capital for their initiatives. They started also with the crowd investing, impact investing, and just recently we are discovering the whole world of the blockchain-based financing. Somehow our work with emerging tech, especially with the blockchain, is separated in the 4 key strategies. The first one is raising awareness. So through events like this, we want to showcase the potential of the blockchain technology. We are working a lot on capacity buildings initiatives and educational programs. So program like a Blockchain Academy that we started 1 month ago. It helps basically UN and DP colleagues to learn how to work with the blockchain and how to engage with the industry. In the third part, where we see now UN community of practice, there's a lot of initiatives on the ideation level. But here we also wanted to connect the colleagues across the UN agencies, different kind of the sectors. And at the same time, also, we will try to see, how blockchain industry can collaborate through different UNDP and UN initiatives, but also between each other. And the last part, which is the strongest one, where we are focusing the most energy to build it, is the blockchain accelerator and the impact fund, where we want to bring funding opportunities closer to the UN teams. And when we are talking about our vision, so basically we worked last 3 years really hard to build different kind of the partnerships. Till the end of this year, we would like to focus on mobilizing the blockchain industry capital for the SDGs, where we want to also strengthen the UNDP role in the innovation. So like I mentioned, the Blockchain Academy, here we want to train at least 500 participants in not only this one, but also other blockchain programs that we are initiating. Within the Blockchain Accelerator, we would like to see pipeline of at least 100 blockchain development initiatives at different stages. And till the end of this year, we would like to raise also some significant amount of money to the impact fund so we can further support UN development initiatives that are partnering with the blockchain industry. So as you can see, we are really committed to turn these bold ideas into the action, and we are really excited that we are continuing also working with all of you on different kind of the initiatives for the sustainable development. So what are our plans with the UN community, blockchain community of practice this year? We will start with a couple of parallel activities. So when we are talking about the UN blockchain website, we will keep it updated and fresh with the content, and we will try to somehow ensure that it remains a go-to source for all of the UN colleagues. We will also develop a comprehensive repository of past and current UN blockchain projects, initiatives that are employing blockchain technology. Hopefully, this will be something that we will convert also to annual UN blockchain report that can be used then as a great learning material, but also the material which will spotlight the different kind of the successful UN development initiatives. We are already working on the roster of blockchain experts that will be available to support different UN initiatives. And yeah, we are starting also with a newsletter. We want to promote different UN use cases, blockchain initiatives. We would have a lot of expert insights, and of course, we will announce a lot of events that we are organizing, co-organizing, or we have in the pipeline. So when we have some kind of the internal processes on the spot, like you noticed, we already started reactivating the Union Teams blockchain group. All of you that are already part of the group, please join us. Here we will form specialized working groups to different kinds of the blockchain verticals. So we'll have special working groups on governance, digital identity, payments, etc. And one of our core focuses are also blockchain events. So we are organizing the Blockchain for Good Summit. The second edition is happening April 15 to 16, following with the in-person event end of June, beginning of July. And then in November, we are co-organizing the Web3 Oscars together with the Blockchain for Good Alliance. And one of the last activities that we want to propose for this year are topic-specific webinars. So today's event is just the start. Like we shared at the beginning, today we will explore how the blockchain can solve critical global challenges. I'm really honored to have Tal Chavela, head of product of Solana Labs, here as our guest speaker. Tal will share insights into the ways how blockchain is improving transparency, sustainability, different kinds of the humanitarian development initiatives and the outcomes. And yeah, finally, hi, Tal. Thank you for patiently listening to this introduction. Maybe before we dive into the discussion, could you give us a quick introduction about yourself, who you are, what do you do?
Sure. Nice to be here and thank you for having me. I've been at Solana Labs now for the past 2.5 years, heading product, where we're building applications on top of the blockchain. Happy to dive more into that. The latest things we've been building are um, loyalty systems, and then the Solana mobile phone. Before that, I was at Facebook, where I was heading the crypto platform team to build the NFT integrations into Instagram and Facebook and the DM Libra blockchain. And before that, I started a couple companies. So a very Web2, Web3 type of experience.
Excellent. Thank you for being with us today. Uh, so maybe before we start the discussion, a couple of quick technical notes for the participants. Please use Q&A if you want to submit any questions you'd like to be covered during the session. We cannot promise that we will be able to answer all of the questions, but definitely your inputs here will help also to shape the future initiatives. And if you want to directly engage with Tal during the discussion, please just raise your hands. My colleague Haidana will give you the floor to ask your question, and we'll be able to share your thoughts. So, okay, I think we can dive a little bit into today's topic. I'm quite new in the blockchain space, like discovered or basically dived into it 2.5 years ago. Before that, I was just like external warrior, hearing and talking occasionally with the different kinds of the groups on the blockchain development. Today, we see that somehow blockchain landscape is evolving really rapidly. It is moving beyond the cryptocurrencies into different areas like supply chain management, digital identity, decentralized finance. These are already the topics that are somehow discussed also within the UN ecosystem. Uh, and we have different kind of the examples also of the blockchain adoption in the industry. Like, for example, Walmart is using the blockchain to improve the product tracing. We have, for example, huge telecom companies like Verizon that developed the blockchain-based tool for the newsroom accountability. And all of these examples somehow show that blockchain is somehow driving also the innovation across the industries, right? But I would say, observing what is happening last 2 years, it's not all smooth sailing. Still some significant challenges holding blockchain back from the reaching its full potential. So maybe before Tal, we dive deeper into these topics of potentials and challenges, can you maybe briefly explain to our participants what is basically blockchain and how does it work?
Sure. So maybe I'll start with money. It took human civilization thousands of years to develop the concept of money. In the past, it used to be barter, right? People used to barter in order to exchange goods with one another. And then we developed a form of currency that people used to give value and attribute a certain value to a coin or a different or a piece of paper. It says this is valued this much. And it took us then thousands of years to develop digital payments, credit cards. Right, so we're talking about currency in the BC. We're talking about the evolution of money, and it took us almost 2,000 years in order to build credit cards that the ability to swipe a card somewhere and says that you can buy something for that amount. Um, Basically, blockchain is looking to take this a step further. The internet in which we currently all transact and buy goods with these credit cards never really implemented a protocol in order to transfer money. As we've seen over the last couple of years, fraud has been going up, a lot of different scams. It's insecure in order to do it, and the existing systems of money transfer have been working and trying to figure themselves out how to work over online. A lot of the other transactions before that used to be person to person. So with the introduction of internet and people being far away from each other, that gave rise to a lot of these other things. And that's where blockchain is kind of trying to come in and say that I can transfer money securely from one person to another and making sure that that money is actually transferred to that individual. So in a way, the internet, which is the transfer of data from one entity to another, came with no protocol for transfer of value, and that's what blockchain is trying to solve. Happy to go into the details, but the idea is that it's mainly able to transfer value from entity A to entity B in a trustless environment.
Excellent. Yeah, definitely we will dive more into the blockchain specifics. And since our topic today is potential of the blockchain, I would like to explore, also what kind of the use cases and the pipeline or different development exist, at least on the level of your knowledge. But at the same time, like you explained us at the beginning, you're really experienced in the Web 2 and Web 3 space. Now you're fully present in the blockchain space. In terms of the I would say some surprises or unexpected developments in the blockchain technology over the past decade. Can you maybe give us some kind of the reflection? What was happening last 10 plus years? Maybe we don't need to go back to the 2008 and start of the Bitcoin, but maybe, you can reflect on last couple of years when we saw that blockchain adoption is somehow growing. What was, surprising for you seeing what is happening in the blockchain industry? Can you maybe name some of the unexpected developments?
Sure. So again, it all goes, we can't go back. We have to go back to Bitcoin because that was the original transfer of value. And that was the only thing that it was meant to do. I think that the interesting innovations since Bitcoin have been the ability to programmatically transfer any value from one person to another instead of just monetary value. That has come with the introduction of Ethereum that made it programmable, and then Solana and a variety of other blockchains that are meant to really take any type of value, may it be a deed to a house, a bond, stable coins, whatever that might be, and actually be able to easily, securely, transparently transfer it from one entity to another. I think the rise of those types of assets, basically any type of asset that can be transferred, gave rise to many different types of asset classes that we now deal with the blockchain. I think that the first NFT, non-fungible token, was a crypto kitty. It was a cat on the blockchain. It was a game. And I think that a lot of us, or at least me, myself, I can only speak about myself, didn't really see the value of what crypto kitties kind of held and what an NFT will be able to do. So I think that it kind of amazed us over the last several years. First, the pace of innovation of what can we do, and then second, what are these different protocols, and the fact that things that might look silly in the beginning will turn to the ability to create different types of asset classes and actually tokenize and create new types of things. So to me, it's just like there is still a lot of innovation going. We've spoken about, how we've been able to transfer money and how we've built these systems for thousands of years. And blockchain has been trying to do this at a very fast pace, right? From the ability to transfer a Bitcoin from one person to another to ability to transfer stablecoin took us less than or about 10 years. And I think that shows like we've solved like what monetary systems have been trying to build for thousands of years. So we're very early and things are moving very quickly. And I think it still amazes us every day, the types of things that are being originated here. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, great. I mean, we already have the question also in the Q&A, which is somehow connected with my next question is, so we are witnessing basically the rapid development of the blockchain technology, right? In parallel, we are witnessing also the rapid development of other technologies like AI. And all of the emerging tech is somehow always facing some big obstacles, not only in terms of the widespreading, but also the adoption. What would you maybe say on blockchain side? What are some kind of the largest obstacles that you see in the adoption of blockchain technologies across different sectors? Maybe I can point like 3 or 4. So basically in different kind of the industries, when then we are talking about the blockchain adoption, the government systems, what's happening, maybe if you can share with us, in terms of the obstacles when you talk about the humanitarian or development world.
So, I mean, I think that what we're missing or the biggest obstacle is lack of clarity from a regulatory perspective. We're seeing now the push for it in the United States and the need for it. But I think that over the past several years, that has been a real hindrance. So coming from Facebook, where we were like the point of Libra and the DM blockchain was to help the 2.7 billion people who are underbanked have banking services. And I think that this is probably a lot of the people on the call understand what this means. We faced many challenges because there was no clarity. Perhaps we were one of the early players in the industry to try to do this. Basically, we were building a blockchain that could transfer money from person A to person B anywhere around the world as long as they have the access to the internet. And I think that this was novel because we were looking at how to create a new financial system that people were worried is going to undermine the existing ones. I don't think any of that has, even though many companies have come since then, I don't think anybody has upended the existing financial order in the world, and that we have seen. So I think the lack of clarity has definitely caused a lot of challenges where people are trying to move and trying to relocate to jurisdictions where there's more clarity. MiCA, by the way, it's one of the regulation frameworks in Europe, has come as a result of the whole Facebook Libra DM debacle that happened there, which is good and bad, but it was based off of a single use case instead of taking potentially a more broad approach of what are the right tools and frameworks in order to regulate stablecoins. And there are still a lot of pieces that are not necessarily handled by that regulation. So I think the more clarity that there is, the easier it will be to build these types of systems.
Mm-hmm. We also discussed in one of the joint events that there should be also different kind of the incentives for the blockchain industry to enter and spread their activities. Is this really, connected also with the regulation or some other issues or obstacles that we have?
I think that there's a lot of fear over blockchain technology. I think there have been recent cases in which people might fear it even more as a result of things that might be seen as scams or fraud or whatever, or still hacks that are happening in the space. I think, again, we are a very young industry in what we're trying to accomplish. Things are moving very quickly. Maybe Theodore, you can also say that, like, and attest to the fact that, like, a month in crypto sometimes feel like a year,
Right.
given the pace of innovation and the news cycles and everything that is going on. So I think there are still a lot of concerns and a lot of fears about this space. So I think there is a perception and a branding issue of how we try to deal with this. And I think even like in terms of terminology, we've been trying to develop right from crypto to blockchain to Web3. So we ourselves are going through this process of how do we market ourselves and how do we make people feel more secure and comfortable with the fact that this is a protocol of transferring value, right? Nobody went against Web2 or the internet, but for some reason there is a lot of concern about this space. Maybe rightly so, but we can definitely handle and with the right regulatory framework. And once we have it, how do we go about it and probably solve some of our perception issues?
Yeah, maybe just to spotlight again one specific questions following on your statement that we are somehow facing numerous security breaches and scams within the blockchain space. What blockchain industry can do, or basically how blockchain industry will balance the need for security at the same time maintain the high pace for innovation?
I think that with every industry, it's the same thing happened with cybersecurity, right? And like Web 2. We didn't really have cybersecurity until the first hacks happened there and data was stolen. Right. And I think the same thing is happening here that, okay, we're facing challenges sometimes for the first time and we need to go solve them. And therefore, the industry as a whole is working together to try to solve this. For example, one of the things is like there is now a hackathon organized for Solana blockchain in order to try to figure out how to improve security in terms of the applications that are being built. So there's a lot, again, of moving pieces and parts of people now trying to solve these issues as they've come up. I think it's hard sometimes to plan for the future, even though we all are trying to do that and try to foresee those things and get rid of them.
Great. I mean, one of the obstacles that we are also discussing is interoperability, right? I mean, at least this is a challenge. So what can you say about this? What kind of the solutions or advancement do you see like a promising uh, in facilitation between, also the better interaction between different blockchain systems?
I It's a tough one to answer for the reason that
I mean, we are witnessing different kind of the solutions already happening, right, on the different blockchain
for
protocols. So
sure, I think that the original thinking around interoperability hasn't been in a multi-chain world. When I say multi-chain, it means that the existence of multiple blockchains. The original thinking was things are going to be interoperable between different systems, between different entities, between different people, all on the same blockchain, which makes it in a way easier to change change value when it's all on the same existing system. Over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of different blockchains come into life across many different ecosystems, and therefore there needed to be protocols in order to interop assets and value between different blockchains. And there are some different theories around what does a multi-chain world look like, in which there might be, so some are taking an analogy of the world, right, where there are different countries that specialize in different things, and therefore it might make sense for people to be able to trade and move assets and data and value from one chain to another. So those are some of the thinking, and therefore do we have what we call bridges, which are ways to move assets from one chain to another, move data, move value. It's basically a messaging protocol, very much like Swift. And there's a lot of other things that are handling it, but I don't think we have yet to see one use case where interoperability is something that blockchains have solved. Because I don't think we've seen a real use case that requires it yet. I think we all, at least like us in the blockchain and Web3 space, are thinking about all the different possibilities of what it would create, but we haven't, I don't think, seen like real user or company demand for these types of things yet.
Yeah, I mean, something that was exciting for me yesterday was reading different tweets and LinkedIn posts how different blockchains are sitting together, also in Denver, discussing, different layers of the collaboration, being from, philanthropic activities to the governance. That's really nice to see that we are also moving ahead with this. So somehow when we are talking about obstacles and challenges, regulatory framework is one of the biggest one, if I understood correctly. Then we have this more minor ones like interoperability, and there is the security. We have a question in the Q&A from Elson. Is blockchain 100% free from scammers?
I don't think I can. Like, I don't think anything is 100% free of anything, right? Like, is the Web 2 100% free of hackers who are trying to steal your data and assets? Like, I think there are always going to be bad actors wherever you go. I think it's the level of security that is there in order to try to protect it, and nothing is 100% secure. So nothing is 100% free of anything. Nothing is 100% secure. We're always going to see incidents. The question is what's going to be the magnitude and the impact of those incidents. And hopefully they're going to diminish over time, over the value that they are trying to destroy.
Thank you. The other question that we have related to the obstacles is, what is the minimum level of legislation required for a country to start with the adoption of the blockchain technology?
I am not a country. I've never dealt with the regulatory side. I've always been on the receiving end of legislation. I'm sure we have a policy team internally at the Solana Foundation, which is our sister org. But they might be able to give you better answers than I can over what those things might look like.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we are also discussing internally within the UN ecosystem how important it is maybe to develop some kind of the blockchain agnostic assessment tool for the government to see, what is the current state of the play when we talk about the digital transformation and potentials of adoption of the blockchain.
I would say, like, I think it all goes back to also what are you trying to achieve, right? So if there's a country that you're trying to operate in, and that you're looking to bring blockchain technology into it, what is the government trying to solve for? Is it about stable coins? Is it about transferring assets, foreign currency from one place to another to be able to do payments? Or is it about digital identity? There are many different types of things, and each one of those is probably going to require different types of legislation. So I think trying to understand what that is, and again, happy to connect afterwards and seeing how we might be able to help on that front.
Excellent. Okay, let's move now to discuss a little bit, what do you see as the most promising financial applications of blockchain that will somehow also, make a huge revolution in different kind of the industries?
You said financial or non-financial?
Financial. Let's start with
Financial. Okay. I think the thing that we've seen, like one of the biggest drivers for adoption has been stablecoins. So stablecoin is a digital currency that is backed by an asset. The biggest one being US currency. There are a variety of different types of stable coins. There is one by Tether, by Circle, Braille. There are many different types of companies that today are issuing US denominated stable coins. There are a few that are also in Europe and more around the world, yen. And we're seeing more proliferation of these types of stable coins that are backed by other currency reserves. That has been really interesting application over the ability to transfer money around the world globally within seconds at very low cost, 24/7. I think one of the things that we're all seeing is there are different types of financial systems in every country in order to move money around. So for example, in the US, we have what we call ACH, the ability to move money in or out, so pull or it's a push or pull. It's revocable, but it's only available basically 5 days a week. Then you have wires that are available 7 days a week, but they're one way. You basically can only push a payment. It's irrevocable. There are many different types of things. The challenge is they're all, and there are different costs for each one of them. In a way, blockchain doesn't have those types of restrictions. There is no person at the end of the on the other side that needs to push a button in order to approve a transaction. It's there, it's live 24/7, and it's always available. So I think that there is a lot of things that we're seeing in how we're able to do now, how we're able to move the monetary system to a blockchain-based system in order to gain the benefits of it. In addition to it, there has been a rise of what we call decentralized finance that is aiming to bring other financial services other than just transfers over to blockchain. We're seeing borrowing and lending as like a big one where people can take loans against other types of collateralized assets on the blockchain within a few clicks, where the collateral, instead of going through a lengthy banking process of trying to understand all your assets are transparent, they are on the blockchain, and therefore it's very easy to know what is the value of your assets and take a loan against that, the value of those assets, versus going through a variety of different self-certified forms and checks and many people in the middle. So we're seeing a lot of innovation around how do we bring these types of services and doing them faster, cheaper than ever before.
Excellent. We have a great question from Alexander. Alexander, would you like to come in and to ask directly, Tal? I can allow you to talk.
Thank you very much, Tal. It's a pleasure to connect, and thank you very much for this this webinar.
Of course.
I have a question. I need to go back now to the Q&A. But so we have been using stable coins to do cash transfers, and it's definitely huge value in terms of transacting quickly, being able to monitor transactions as well, and the low cost. But one of the biggest challenges we're facing is ensuring that beneficiaries can actually convert the stable coins into their local currencies and use them in real world transactions. And when you move into low resource contexts, it gets even more difficult. So it'd be great to hear how Solana is approaching both on-ramping, but also off-ramping to ensure that stablecoin transactions can be used in real financial transactions on the ground.
So I'd like to say, first of all, that Solana is just a blockchain. It's the protocol of transferring value. So we ourselves are actually not issuing stable coins, and we're not doing on and off ramping directly. There are other companies that do this. For example, a company named Circle that issues USDC. It's a US dominated stablecoin. They also have EuroC, which is a euro denominated stablecoin. I think that we as an industry are still focused mainly on institutional adoption of stablecoins and other types of financial services, and we haven't yet dealt with the consumer aspects. There are other blockchains that have types of relationships, for example, with MoneyGram, that allow people to then off-ramp. Off-ramping is basically taking money and converting it from digital money to physical money. And on-ramping is taking physical money and transferring it to digital money. But like in this case, there are different types of things. And I think we're still looking, and I think companies are still looking for ways to do this, right? Like what does a collaboration with a Western Union look like? And how do we're able to do all of that? There are definitely explorations in this space of how do we allow people that, again, I think the challenge is the underbanked that don't have access to financial services get access to the money. People that have the access to banking services in most countries are able to off-ramp into their bank account and therefore receive the money. So that's where we're seeing the challenges. And I think that we will probably see a lot more in this case. I mean, in the past, we saw Bitcoin ATMs that people can cash their Bitcoin into real money. And maybe that's part of the solution in the future, is having more of these types of crypto ATMs that can then off-ramp stable coins directly into cash.
Thank you,
Hopefully
Tal.
that
Alexander,
answers.
any additional information you need from Tal?
No, that was great. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Alexander. Maybe Tal, connected to the stablecoin discussion now, what is your opinion when UN agencies should start using the stablecoins in their operations?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay, thank you.
I guess the question again is like, what is the use case that you're trying to achieve? So, I mean, you and I have spoken about wanting to take donations, right? Like that is something that people can donate today in any currency. Why not in cryptocurrencies? And the ability to get that money. There is the fact that anybody can open a wallet and receive money. Again, the question of off-ramping and how do they actually transact with this money is different, but we're looking at more and more ways to do it. One of the things that we at Solana Labs have developed in the past, and now a different company has taken over it. It's a Shopify integration. So you can pay for goods purchased with stable coins or other types of cryptocurrencies directly in order to use this as real money. I think one of the other things that we're still seeing with the stable coins is the fact that people see it as especially in countries that don't have necessarily access to US dollars, as a way for savings account. So people are purchasing dollars or digital dollars in order to have it as an hedge against currencies that are inflationary. So it's still a way to deal with a lot of the challenges that other countries are facing. And again, it's all very much use case dependent of what people are trying to achieve with it, and lots of possibilities there.
Yeah, it's also exciting to see that also some of the UN agencies are starting not only using the stable coins, but also working a lot on different kinds of funding mechanisms, accepting the cryptocurrencies. This will be also the topic of the second webinar that we'll host in March. Maybe we can move now to non-financial applications. There is the whole world of different blockchain innovations happening. We also have a couple of questions in the QA related to this. So maybe when you talk about these non-financial applications, maybe you can focus on two of them. One is part of the governance. So the question is basically how we can secure the transfer of data between the government entities. This is related also to different kind of the records from the health, voting systems, etc. And the second one is connected more to the facilitation of the carbon trade and carbon markets. So maybe, yeah, if you can explain a little bit to the audience, what are the non-financial applications, and maybe to focus on these two cases from the Q&A.
There are a lot of different types of applications. One of the interesting ones that I heard about a couple months ago is actually related to healthcare. So in the United States, there are a limited number. So when you go to do a CT scan or an MRI or whatever scan, they have to give you a CD at the end of your visit with the imagery. The reason they have to do it this way is because you are now the only person that has access to that data, and it doesn't impact the privacy. But however, it created a monopoly on this trade, and only certain types of companies can create these CDs, let alone the fact that like CDs are kind of an ancient technology at this point. And one of the things is like, can blockchain do this and solve this problem that you have ownership of the data? You're the only person that has access to this data and are able to then grant access to third parties which you want to view your data, such as your doctor. So you went to a clinic that they CT scan, MRI, but you now need to give it to your doctor. So you actually have to walk with a CD and make sure that hopefully you don't lose it along the way. It doesn't get scratched, none of that. So that's where there is like a really interesting people trying to solve this problem of how do we access data through blockchain, because it's encrypted, it's safe, there's proof of ownership, and you can grant access and kind of use it as an access control list to give access to specific people. So that's healthcare, and I think the same thing probably applies for other types of data, and making sure that only the right people have access to it, and kind of moving away from all types of systems that restrict or are very physical and instead of being digital. There are other types of non-financial use cases. One of the biggest ones is what we call decentralized physical infrastructure networks, or DePIN for short, DEPIN. One of the exciting things about it is basically taking existing infrastructure networks, such as cell phones, Wi-Fi networks, now with AI, GPUs, and basically creating a network for people to buy and sell access to those services. So for example, I'm able to buy a small cell tower, put it in my house, and sell access to people who want to connect to it, and basically create a revenue stream for myself by doing it, something that we weren't able to do in the past. And being able to measure and test how many people connect to my network and make sure that I'm the rightful owner of this. And there are more and more of these types of applications that are coming that are giving true ownership of the work that I'm doing and getting a reward for it. One of the other ones is, for example, people, it's a way to replicate Google Maps. So people can install a camera in their they buy this camera, they can install it in their car. Now that they're driving, they're basically taking pictures of the roads, and they can be rewarded for the work that they're doing once the data gets sold to other entities that are using these maps. So I think it's we're trying to see how we can decentralize the access from these centralized companies and entities that have amassed all of this data, and how do we spread it to people who are actually doing the work. So I think there's a lot of these types of use cases that are not just financial. We're seeing things in loyalty, transparency, supply chains. So for example, in the EU, there's new regulation called digital product passports that require companies to provide more information about the supply chain of a certain product. We believe that blockchain might be the best solution for this because it's open, it's transparent, it's public, and it's authenticated. So that is another way for people to put that data somewhere. And I think it also solves other challenges, such as the authenticity of a product. So for example, if one of the most highly counterfeited brands in the world is Gucci, today, there is no way for you to know if this is a real Gucci or not real Gucci. And if we are not basing the authenticity based off of blockchain, people can replicate Gucci lookalike websites and other things to say this is Gucci. But once it's on the blockchain, you can see who made the signature for this type of product and say this is made by Gucci. Only Gucci could have certified that this is a Gucci, and therefore make it an authentic product. So lots of different types of applications, carbon credits, all of those things makes it very easy for price discovery, transparency, all of the above.
Yeah, I mean, really exciting, a really broad world of applications. I think in the next webinars we will also, have specific webinars on the on these topics. We have a couple of questions, and we have like 10 minutes left for the webinar. there are some specific ones. For example, what do you think if UNDP will use the blockchain for the procurement processes? Is this some kind of the huge opportunity or even possibility when we are talking about the transparency and other issues we have?
So, I mean, only you can say, but like, think of like, for example, like an
I mean,
RFP. Yeah, no, but
different
like,
kind of the use cases, not only in the development world or maybe public
for
institutions,
sure.
but also in the private ones. So what do you think in terms of the adoption of the blockchain technology in the procurement processes?
I think it's a very interesting thing, right? Like, for example, like again, the point of blockchain is transparent, open. Uh, One of the things that is could be helpful for is potentially RFPs, right? Issue an RFP on the blockchain, everybody can see it, it's open. You can then see potentially what are the different bids, the different types of things. It creates more transparency to a process that doesn't necessarily have it today. And how can you improve as a supplier? And make sure that the things are good and are especially done in an open and transparent way. The other thing is also, for example, like how do you do money distributions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like UN distributes money. Where does the money go? We all know about like sort of the leaky bucket syndrome where money gets lost in the way, but the fact that you use blockchain makes it very clear where the money is going and the fact that it's being used for the purposes that it was intended for. So I believe that there are multiple use cases for how certain public institutions can use use blockchain for better transparency.
Yeah, again, excited that these kind of discussions are already happening within the UNDP. So looking forward for different kind of the solutions that we'll see in the future. We also have one specific question regarding the smart contracts. Maybe I will read it since it's the anonymous question. So it says, in relations between market operators and producer organizations, some operators fail to pay farmers despite delivering products. How does the smart contract work in this context? Does the operator have to deposit funds in his account upstream? What are the terms and conditions guaranteeing payment to the farmer as soon as the required conditions are met? Really briefly answer if you can have on this really technical question.
Sure. I mean, smart contracts, like or not necessarily just contracts, but we can use them as contracts, right? So you can specify all the different terms that will exist. The money can be put in escrow. So like we don't have to think of this like as blockchain or smart contracts or whatever. There is a contract that is being digitized and it has a bunch of different clauses of what will happen when. And then somebody needs to certify it in some way and attest to it in digital format. So there could be a third party that then goes and certifies and then basically says, yes, these actions have been performed, that these things have taken place, and therefore releases the money in escrow. It's just a digital transparent system that allows for these contracts to exist and operate. And that might be a better way to think about it. Hopefully that
Excellent.
answers it.
Yeah. I mean, this is a really specific question. Need more time to understand the context and everything. But since we have like 6 minutes to the end, the last question, uh, we have all basically that was also the first question that we had in the QA. What is the somehow the future of the blockchain technology? So what do you see as the biggest potential of next big like a breakthrough in the blockchain technology? What kind of the impact can achieve? And the question that we had in the Q&A is what is the future of blockchain technology comparing to the rapid evolution of AI as well? So maybe to like wrap up everything, what we
Yeah.
discussed, we saw that there is a huge potential opportunities of the blockchain adoption. What do you see? What's the future?
So things are moving very quickly in blockchain, the same as AI. I think one of the most exciting cross-cutting things between blockchain and AI is we're all hearing about AI agents. Um, but AI agents will only be able to deal with data in the Web2 world, right? Like gathering data is what we're seeing today. But in order to perform a transaction for you, you're going to need Web3. So the ability for AI agents to transact all of a sudden with value is going to become super critical, and those two coming together. And that I think is like what is super exciting about the future of blockchain and AI and how they can come together. So think about the fact that you want to purchase a vacation, or you want to plan your next vacation and tell the AI agent, go book me a vacation for me and my family in this country over these dates and these types of hotels and all of that. Basically, they're going to need your credit card, but credit card might think it's fraud. What is happening? How much money are you willing to spend on it? Like, those systems don't exist today in Web 2, right? All you have is a credit card. In Web 3, you can actually, because this is a programmatic money system, you can actually specify what you want. So I'm willing to spend on hotels this much money. This is the money I've saved for this, and this is the amount that can go into it. I want to also purchase XYZ. Like, all of those things are going to be enabled with Web3 because it adds the monetary aspect into the AI agentic future and the ability for them to transact with money. I think that's kind of the future of both of these worlds coming together. But I think blockchain in general, it's a core protocol of how we deliver and move value between people, or even take data and make it encrypted and try to move it between people, right? So how do we allow people, how do we preserve privacy in the internet world is also something that wasn't really solved for, and it's something that blockchain can assist and help with. So I think there are more and more applications that are coming to life in terms of what blockchain can enable, and I think that it's going to be a very exciting future.
I'm sharing your excitement. Thank you, Tal. Thank you for sharing your insights and expertise with us today. I mean, it was really short, but I would say inspiring session. At least I gained a lot of valuable new knowledge about how blockchain is already making a difference. And now at the end, we also get a little bit of what future holds for this technology. So to all of the participants, I would say, thank you for your participation and engagement. I really liked your participation as well in the Q&A. As we move forward, I would like to invite you, like at the beginning, to join us in the UN Blockchain Community of Practice blockchain group. I think there will be plenty of opportunities that we continue these kind of the conversations, like we said, through the upcoming webinars, but also different kind of the specific working groups and collaborative projects. Like you can see on the screen, we already have scheduled the next webinar for March 20th. We will have a guest from the Ethereum ecosystem that with, along with the colleagues from the UNICEF and UNHCR, will talk about innovative Web3 funding models and mechanisms. I hope to see you all there. So I think that today's session showed that there's incredible potential of blockchain to address the global challenges, something that we can really employ in the different kind of the humanitarian development initiatives that we are implementing within the UN ecosystem. And definitely we saw that this technology can create also real impacts and advance us also in the achievement of the SDGs. So once again, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you at future events. Until then, yeah, let's keep learning, collaborating, innovating together. Have a great day. Thanks again for the participation. See you soon.